Whoa, look at this little guy. This should be fun.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to my channel. My name's Oscar. I'm a Marine with 14 years of dedicated service. Throughout my time in the Marines, I've honed my skills in audio, video, photography, and Apple computer engineering. While in Washington, D.C. with the presidential units, I discovered a passion for refurbishing old Apple devices and successfully repairing almost 1,000 items, including iPads, MacBooks, Mac Pros, you name it, I have fixed it. And now I'm excited to share my creative journey with you. My mission is to demonstrate how to fix a variety of devices and explore innovative ideas and technology, and my ultimate goal is to donate these refurbished computers and devices to individuals in recovery who need technology to support their journeys. So join me as we dive into the transformative power of technology, helping others reboot their lives from recovery mode to full power.
Alrighty guys, welcome back, and today we are playing around with a iMac G3, which I found online for about $100, and it kind of booted up for a second, and then the power light just shot out. So I'm pretty sure the power supply is just shot. But for a quick second, I thought it had hope. So anyway, this is kind of a little bit of a mystery and mess trying to get these screws off because they're all over this thing, and there's so many pieces of this. There's a couple screws on the bottom. You have to be really careful because this is all like plastic and really old plastic, almost 20 years old. So one little crack and it's done for. So you want to be careful with all these screws that you have to take out on the bottom, and then once you finally get that one piece I slid off earlier, then you got some more screws, and then I had to keep watching the video because I didn't want to break anything because I was missing a screw. But then you finally get this bottom piece to kind of come off. And my idea was to find a screen that would fit inside of this, and it was really hard because everything was 11-inch or 13-inch or 15-inch or weird 5-inch. But I managed to find a 10.5-inch screen on Amazon. I'll leave the link below, and it was just like, I think like $65-$70, so not that bad. It's got two USB-Cs inputs for the power, or if you have a USB HDMI, or it has a small HDMI, like the mini HDMI cable, so that worked perfect. That could just slide in the top, or sorry, it's on the right side. But yeah, once I got the brain part of this thing out, I started trying to figure out how to. I had to cut off those pieces in the front that were holding the screen on, or blocking the HDMI screen from coming all the way flush against the front. So I finally wiggled off this front piece, which is just a piece of plastic, but you gotta be really careful because they just slide right in there. You break one and you're kind of hosed. So I got it to fit, and then I noticed I need to try and cut these things off, and then it kind of hit me like, hey, wait, I have a soldering iron. Why don't I just maybe try soldering these guys off? So ended up kind of getting it there. It definitely fits. I just need all these little pieces. I just had to kind of rip them off at first with the pliers, and then some of the bigger chunks like these where the screws holes went in, that I didn't want to force too much, so I finally just started soldering it all off, just melting it down which was pretty smoky in there for a while, but that worked pretty well. And so after quite a bit of time working on that, I was able to get that where I needed it, chop it all off. But my idea originally was that maybe I could just fit a Mac Mini in this thing, and sure enough, it's obviously going to fit the Mac Mini. It's just a matter of how to hold the Mac Mini in place. So that was my my kind of like, what do I do here? But let me get inside of it first. So I finally got inside of it, obviously. Big, huge CTV thing in there, so I disposed of that. But after I finally got all these big pieces melted off, it kind of gave me some more ideas to melt off some stuff later, because once I got the screen to fit in there, I still couldn't access the buttons on the side for the power, brightness, and volume, and then I also couldn't access the inputs on the other side for the HDMI and the USB-C for the power. So I definitely had to kind of melt some holes in the side of it. It doesn't look the best. I probably could have found something besides a soldering iron that would have done a little bit cleaner of a job, but it did pretty good. So well, yeah, once I got all these pieces off, it took forever. I was finally able to get this just about snug in there, and once I did, I was able to kind of pop a couple screws in on the side to hold the back on. I didn't want to mount anything to the screen, so I mounted it to the inside. I got some short screws and just kind of propped them up behind the screen, so now it lays flush and flat. And so plugged in the Mac Mini, and you know, that was working good. The input was working good on the screen. Finally figured out, you know, the buttons is a little tricky with the buttons. You have to kind of click one and then do the up and down arrow for it that you're selecting with the brightness and the volume. But was able to get that going. So now I was trying to put it back together and figure out, okay, put the back on, and let's see if we can get the Mac Mini to fit in here. I had to kind of burn off a couple spots that to make it flush here for the side without burning my screen, which was really risky. So I got the bottom on and kind of realized that, like, okay, this will work. I'll mount the Mac Mini. I kind of drilled a couple screws in the bottom of the Mac Mini, just some short screws, so that way I could just kind of mount it underneath that long plastic piece that sticks out on the bottom. That little piece, which kind of worked, you know, but it wouldn't fit back in with the Mac Mini connected to it. So I had to essentially take the top part off again and kind of attach it to the very bottom plate right here. Once I got the Mac Mini kind of screwed in here, you can see it's kind of working pretty well. I tried this little mount that kind of mount the stand that kind of props it up, but so anyway, I was able to get that mounted on and then put it back together, and all in all, it looked pretty good. Everything was nothing was broken. The glue melting off the sides there was probably like the least thing I wanted to do, but it had to be done. But the side is really great. You can get all the ports there. You can just run. There's really only one cable running out of it, except for the keyboard that I plugged in just randomly. But I had a wireless keyboard that worked just fine. So really, it's just one wire going as the power cord, and you could just wrap it up in the handle and take it with you and just set it down, plug it in. I mean, it's pretty lightweight now compared to earlier. It was about like 10 pounds. Now it's about maybe like 2 pounds. But yeah, pretty lucky I found this screen that just happened to perfectly fit. It's hard to really find a screen that's like, I think it was 15.5. It was a weird dimension, but it was like $60 on Amazon. Got it next day, and it kind of just fit perfectly in there. As far as like the inside, I had to kind of melt those sides off there to get to the volume button and the brightness button and the other menu buttons. But the inside was really cool because I couldn't figure out how to get the power button. So it being so far off to the side, I found this little $14 Bluetooth only. It's not like you have to download the app and wireless and all that stuff with it. But it was able to I was able to stick it in there, and I also put a little light. It's a USB light in the back, which is kind of cool. So whenever the lights are off, you can kind of see it. Oops, I just turned off the power to the Mac Mini as well. Whoops. But anyway, there's the light that is in the back there. It's USB. So essentially, I'm using one of the USBs for that light, and the other two are completely open. So I mean, if you needed all three, you could unplug that light if you had to. But yeah, I have it set to automatically reboot, just in case the power. You go to the settings and the power settings, and there's a checkbox to check for automatically start up in case of power failure. So I set that to just in case you just want to unplug it and go. It'll just boot right back up, which is kind of handy. But on the inside, which I really love, this little Bluetooth switcher I found on Amazon. It was like, I think, $14, and you just set it up Bluetooth, and I kind of wedged it, taped it down, and you just press the button on your app on your phone. And this is just in case the automatically doesn't start up again. But if you need to manually start it up, you got a little button there. I plugged that into a USB-C because it only has like maybe a 3-month charge on that little button pusher. So I plugged that into a USB, so you don't really need that plugged in either. So you essentially have all your USBs. They're just the cables are hanging off to the side. But yeah, I put High Sierra on here, and the Mac that's in there, the Mac Mini is actually a pretty good. I think it's like a 2014 model. It's got a Thunderbolt in there too. Can't really get to the SD card, which most people, you don't really use SD cards anymore. But the HDMI Mini that goes into the HDMI to the Mac Mini. That's an easy cable, a short one. I just wrapped it up in there and tucked it in there. And then the other one is just a USB-C. That's the power to the screen. And as far as the Mac Mini itself that I put in there, yeah, it's like a 2.3 i5, 8 gigs of RAM. It's okay, mid 2011. Yeah, that's what it was. And I think it's got a 500 gig storage. And so yeah, I just put a bunch of programs. But yeah, there's 15.5 920 by 1080, which is pretty good. It's got a little bit of kind of I you can change the dimensions if you want to make it bigger, more old school iMac-y looking. But I just threw on my old offices and Logic and Final Cut and Photoshop and stuff on there, so that way if I need something I can get to it. But other than that, it was a pretty good little fun project. It was interesting trying to take this thing apart, because so much of it was plastic, and like, unlike the metal and aluminum type of stuff that we take apart now, if you mess up the plastic, you're kind of screwed, because it's hard to just put back some more plastic on it when you broke it off. But some of those insides little clips were pretty fragile, and they broke off pretty quickly. That luckily I didn't need to support anything in there, but they're 20 years old, so it goes to figure they lasted pretty well for 20 years. But anyway, some more pictures of the overview of it, just so you can kind of see what's going on. It looks a little messy. I wish I could close that door, but oh well. Anyway, if you like this, subscribe, share with somebody or whatever. All right, have a great day.